Yes.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone. Sorry for the delay. And I am here this evening for our MAC meeting, sitting in for our chair. It was his birthday yesterday, so happy belated birthday, Chairman Gilmer. And with that, I guess I'll call the meeting to order. Tanya, if that's okay with you until my audio start working. So with that, I am looking for, I have printed out everything, but I can't seem to find my agenda. So if you could put the agenda on screen, that would be appreciated. And I can hear you, Tanya. Tanya, you're on mute. I can see the little red arrow across you. We all on mute this afternoon.
Oh,
Hi, Annie. How are you doing?
Oh, fine. Who is that?
Jamie Gaines.
Hi, Jamie.
Hey, how you doing?
Fine, thank you. Thank you. Having a little technical difficulties here, but we're going to keep it pushing. Tanya, I cannot hear you. I can see that your mic has a slash to it to indicate that it is on mute. It is one of those days today. Can anyone hear me? Can everybody hear? Or it's just me?
I hear everyone.
Can you hear Tanya too, Beverly?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear Miss Annie. We can hear you. Can't hear Tanya.
Right, that's the saying. Can't hear Tanya. Okay, Chief. Well, thank you. So what we're gonna do, if you could put the agenda up, I can't seem to find my agenda. I have printed it out. But as I know, we call for, where is, this is ridiculous. So anyway, let's just start the meeting. With that, we already opened the meeting. Where is my agenda? Can you put it up, Tanya? There it goes. Thank you. Okay, so the meeting has been called to order. And if you can roll call each and every one of the council members, please. There may be a problem.
Beverly Scott is here.
Okay.
Dulce Galicia.
That's Robin here.
Dulce is here. Okay.
Marta Nieto is here.
Okay.
Princess here.
Very good. Okay. Chairman Gilmore is out. And as we know of Dr. Clark's passing, and I'm here. Okay. So with that, has everyone got a chance to look over the approval of the agenda and the minutes at this time?
Yes.
I would call for a motion for the agenda and the minutes, please.
I move that we accept tonight's agenda and the minutes from last month's meeting as submitted.
Thank you, Beverly. May I have a second, please?
I second.
Okay, that's Dulce. Okay. All in favor? Hear ayes?
Aye.
Uh,
Aye.
Are there any
Aye.
opposed at this time? Hearing none. Thank you. The approval of the agenda and the minutes as follows has been carried. Okay, we're going to our public comments. 3 minutes.
That's me, yeah.
Okay, Tanya will be calling on you. Hopefully she can unmute. Cornell.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So good evening, Chair Emeritus, board members. My name is Cordell Hendler and I'm a Richmond resident. So I do have an invitation for you for this council. So you are cordially invited to attend the Richmond Rotary Club weekly meeting on July the 8th, which is this Friday at 12 p.m. at the Richmond Country Club. And our guest speaker will be Rudy Zeller, who will be talking with us about a new soccer club that they just launched in Richmond. It's called the Richmond Rayados. And it's $25 for lunch. And there will be some drinks there too. So, and let's see what else. That's pretty much it. So
That's it? Okay, thank you, Cordell, for sharing in the public comments. Do we have any other public comments at this time?
Yes, ma'am. This is Latifa.
Yes.
I'm a North Richmond resident, and I created a website for North Richmond, and I'm going to put the link in the chat. If you're providing a service to the North Richmond residents, or if you have a business, I'd love to hear from you. And also, anyone that works at the school, I'd love to have the children be a part. And I'd love to also highlight some of the citizens here in North Richmond, love to highlight our elders. So I'm going to put the link in the chat, and thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Latifa. Very good.
Hi.
Are there,
Yes, as I was saying, Cynthia had her hand up. I
go ahead,
would like to announce that the 11th annual North Richmond Music Festival will be held at Shields and Reed Saturday, July the 16th from 12 to 5 p.m. I'm usually in charge of getting people to come out and set up tables for displaying, and we're a little late getting started this season. So it's my intentions to do it today, but I'm dealing with my sick daughter. So I'm gonna be sending out invitations for people to do tabling this week, more than likely tomorrow. So MAG members, I'm pretty sure some of you are already on board, and you'll be hearing from me. I have a new Gmail account, so don't be surprised if it's not with my Yahoo account. Thank you.
thank you, Cynthia. And if you can remind everyone, if you could put your email address, your new email address in the chat, it'd be appreciated.
Yes,
Oh,
I'll do that. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments at this time? Okay, hearing none. So item 4, our law enforcement agency report. Is anyone here from the Sheriff's Department at this time? Okay, hearing none. Do we have anyone from Richmond PD? I guess everybody was so busy from last night. Okay, Latanya? Do we have anyone from law enforcement? I can't see it if we do or if we don't.
I only see Mark.
Could you repeat that, please? I can barely hear you, echoed.
Oh, can you hear me now? I only see Mark.
Okay, could you open up for him to speak?
I did ask him to unmute. Maybe he got a call or something, because I did see him in the beginning.
Okay, I don't know what's happened to the system today, but it's really.
Were you guys referring to me?
Oh, there we go.
Did I screw it up?
Rodriguez, yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. I just had to answer that call. But I'm back. Are you guys ready for my reports?
Yes, we are.
All right, I will start us off. So for the month of June, we'll start with calls for service. There was 253 calls for service. Of those calls, we generated 21 reports. Those were reports primarily warrant arrest, warrant service, some welfare checks, and then primarily property crimes, both the recovery of and then also new reports of property crimes. And when I say property crimes, primarily auto burglaries or petty thefts from vehicles. And then one report of identity theft. As far as our select crime trends go, we are trending downward. For the month of April, there was 14. For the month of May, we had 15. And in the month of June, we had 8. A large portion of that was both in April and in May, there was 5 stolen vehicles recovered in each month. And the month of June, we didn't have any stolen vehicles recovered. And then also some of our domestic violence reports went down for both months. In the month of June, we had 0, as well as our robbery. So there was a homicide. That was the most significant, I would say, for the month. It seemed to be an isolated incident. However, we have been in contact with our peers in Richmond, and just to see if there's going to be an uptick in violence, and then just other agencies on the west end of the county. The suspects in that homicide are still outstanding, so investigations is still working in that case. That's all I have at this time. I know our Paul units attended the parade yesterday. They said they had a great time. It seems like it was a good event. I hope everyone had a safe 4th. And any questions for me at this time?
Okay, the floor is open. Do we have any questions?
I do have one. Hi, my name is Leticia.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a question for the sheriff. What happened that we're talking about the homicide, the shooting that was on Markets, and I'm just kind of concerned, and I would like to know what happened, because my kid is attending to a Shields Raid program, and they were actually playing outside, and I just wanted to know what happened when a shooting happens, because when I ask and we hear like the kids were brought inside, but somehow they thought that they were like fireworks, and it was a shooting. So I kind of wanted to know, like, is there a communication where they are, like right away, that so kids can be put inside of the recreation center in the Shields Park, or how is there anything that can be done when these things happen? Because that was so scary. I was like running to get my kid there, and that was really scary. And I just wanted to know, like, what connection or what communication is there when shootings happen, like around here.
No, that actually
you.
is a great point. That's something that I'd have to look at. I'd have to look into and see if our dispatch has that specific for that. I know with schools, typically we can put them in a lockdown status. I don't know that we have one for Shields Breeze Park. I will follow up on that and get you an answer. And I agree. Obviously, the safety of the children is a huge concern. I know on that day in particular, the response from patrol was very fast, myself included, being down there. So and part of that was due to timing. It was right around the time that we had a lot of units on, just due to the staffing for the day. But no, I will find out for you, Leticia, and get back to you. Can you do me a favor? Would you mind leaving me your contact information in the chat box so I can follow up with you?
Yeah, sure, I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions?
I actually have a question for the sheriff's officer as well.
Okay, go ahead, Jamie, please.
I don't know if you can see me or not, if that even matters, but I did want to ask you what she was talking about this, and I thought that was great that she brought that up. That awareness and that protocol would be nice to have. Is there any type of protocol in a situation where that may exist, like either in the city of Richmond or in this part of the county, where even there's some sort of notification via cell phone for residents, anyone that's within a certain radius of a shooting, so that they can kind of maybe shelter in place at that time period, so that they don't just run right into it? Is there any type of protocol for that, or is there something planned or something that could be put on the agenda to look into that?
Yes, yes, Mr. Gaines, that's a great question as well. There is, it's CWS or Community Warning System through Contra Costa County Office of Emergency Services. I will put the link or the web address in the chat for you guys. I know other municipalities use Nixle. Typically, those are used whether it's an incident like this or a fire or a natural disaster, things of that nature. Sometimes, even high wind advisories, things of that will be put in there. So the community warning system, CWS, is the one that Contra Costa County Office of Emergency Services uses. And you can go in there and look at it. It'll go both to cell phones as well as emails, text messaging, things of that nature. It can go out. Others that we can do through dispatch, depending on the nature of an incident, would be like reverse 911, to where we're able to put in calls to the residents as shelter in place or something like that. With this incident, how quickly it evolved, and with the fact that we believe the suspects were no longer in the area or on scene, based on the information we had, that's the reason that that portion wasn't put out. I will throw that in the chat box. Did that answer the question for you, Mr. Gaines?
It did, with the exception that I have never received any type of warning or alert on my phone in regards to any particular incident like that, shooting or anything like that that's happened in the area. So I don't know if that's something that I have to sign up for, or it's I don't know. I've never gotten that kind of warning. I don't know if anybody else has that's on this call, but if you're saying it exists, then I would think I'd gotten some sort of alert by now.
Yeah, no, I don't want to misspeak, so I will look and get the information, but I do believe it is something that you have to essentially subscribe, stating that you're willing to accept those notifications. There's no fees or anything like that attached to it, but you do have to say that you're willing to accept those. So I'll throw the link in there, and I'll confirm that information is accurate, and we'll go from there. So great questions. Thank you, guys.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Okay, well, thank you, Chef Rodriguez. Are there any other questions? I saw someone else. I don't know, Tanya, if you've seen someone else to come on, but if not, we'll proceed on with the agenda items. Okay, so let's go into, and we don't have anyone from Richmond PD. That was our sheriff.
No, I don't see Lucas.
Okay, very good. So let's move on to our next item for discussion and or action. And this is the permit request for the new single home that was actually presented a while back, but it had expired. So I'm pretty sure the board had got a chance to revisit this request. So Tanya, if you will go through this again for the board and for our public, it would be appreciated.
Yeah, so this is a renewal. This permit was previously approved, and it has now expired. And this is for, the location is 357 Silver Avenue, and they are hoping to construct a new single family residence on a vacant lot. And Frank is here, the applicant, if you have any questions for him.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. Okay, well, Frank Colbert, could you, if you could please say a few words? I know we put you on the spot at this point, but since you are in the meeting, if you would like to say anything about this property and for its development.
Can you hear me? I'm just make sure you can hear me.
Yes, we can. And
Okay.
a little
All right.
bit.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, and I appreciate being here. Basically, I was brought in on this project to basically get it moving forward again after it expired. And so we resubmitted the program, the project, and we're just going through the process of getting it back to where we can get it into the building department and approved so we can move forward. I think you guys have plans and so forth. So it's basically a 2-story single family residence on a 25-foot lot. Basically, the typical sort of design that happens on that lot, on those size lots.
Okay. Okay, so with this is just an informational for the board at this time. For reconsideration, we've already approved it once. And as we know that it had expired and you're bringing it back. So
Correct.
as what this is this is just informative right now because of what we agreed upon before. It still stands for your recommendation and with our blessings for this. If there are any of the directors need to, council may have to say anything at this point, please share your thoughts.
And if you want to make a motion to recommend an approval or a reapproval of this, that would be helpful because that's what we sent to the planning staff is your recommendation.
And that is our recommendation for this evening. So with that, may I have someone, or I'll make a motion for us to reestablish this count filing for this property to be to go forward with its expansion at this point at the address of 357 Silver Ave, Richmond 94881. So do we have a second?
I second the motion to support the permit.
Very good. Okay. Thank you, Beverly. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing any opposers at this time? Hearing none. Okay, it passes and it carries. And congratulations, Mr. Colbert, you're on your way.
All right. I thank you all, and you guys all have a very wonderful rest of the evening.
You also, you do the same.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
And thank you. Okay, with item 6, at this point, we have a presentation on housing element with Richmond Land and the Greenbelt. Who's here to present?
Both of us.
Yeah, Dulce and I'm Zoe. We're here to present.
Okay, very good. Who's going first?
I think I'll start us off. Would it be possible for me to share my screen? Oh, yep, looks like it is possible. Perfect. All right, great. Can everyone see that?
Yes, it's clear.
All right, well, and continuing the, what seems to be the theme tonight of, Zoom problems. I have some really weird lighting. So if I go in and out of the lighting, my apologies, but my name is Zoe Siegel. I am really excited to be here today. And, thank you so much for, allowing me to speak. Many of you were here last week last month when, the county spoke about the housing element and sort of the process for Contra Costa County and how it will impact North Richmond. But today, Dulce and I are here to share a little bit more about the process and talk about what we as, community members and advocates can and should be doing to really prioritize to make sure that our communities are equitable, resilient, and that the county is really taking everyone's needs into consideration. So yeah, I work at Greenbelt Alliance, and I'm a Contra Costa native. I grew up in El Cerrito, and Greenbelt Alliance, the organization that I work at, is an environmental nonprofit that works around the Bay Area to make sure that our lands and communities are really resilient to a changing climate so that people have a safe, healthy place to live. And a big piece of that is housing. And I think, I'll talk a little bit more about the connection between housing and climate in a little bit. but yeah, I work on a lot of housing and climate issues around the region and really have done a lot of work across Contra Costa County. And before working at Greenbelt Alliance, I also worked on the Resilient by Design Challenge. And I think I recognize some of you from the project in North Richmond from a while back. And I imagine you all know Dulce, or most of you, but Dulce, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'll go ahead and introduce myself. So my name is Dulce. I moved to Richmond in 2006, but I've been a resident of North Richmond since 2014. And it's so good to be here with you all. I've been more fully immersed in what the housing element is for the past year, most closely in Contra Costa. And so I really look forward to seeing all of us getting involved with the housing element. And I'll hand it back to you, Zoe.
All right, thanks, Dulce. And yeah, Dulce and I have been working, for the last year on the housing element and other general plan policies in collaboration with a lot of other great, individuals and organizations. But today we're going to talk, briefly about, what housing element is and why it's important. And then we'll talk a little bit more specifically, about what to look out for and what sample policies we might want to recommend collectively. And then we'll talk about how to take action and how to get involved and have a conversation with all of you about what we want to see in the housing element. So the presentation will be, pretty short, and we really want to have a more fruitful conversation. So we'll try to go through the presentation part quickly.
Could you slow down talking, please? Thank you.
I definitely can. And first, to start us off, I'm going to share a video about what a housing element is and why it's so important. So let's see if this will play. Can you hear that?
No sound. Can you?
No sound. Okay, 1 minute.
Point.
I think I need to press share sound when I do that. Okay. Let's try this again.
What is a housing element?
Can you hear that?
Cities throughout the state and country have a blueprint for their community. This blueprint is called a general plan. A general plan covers various topics for a community, and each different topic is called an element of the general plan. Elements of a general plan include information on where future roads will go, where open space belongs, and how to handle housing in a community. The housing element is a section of the city's general plan that looks at housing needs and conditions within the city. It is a policy document that identifies goals, policies, and programs that cities use to direct and guide actions related to housing. Each city and county in California is required to have a housing element and update it periodically, usually every 8 years. As the population of California continues to grow, so too does the need for more housing. But housing development has not kept up with demand. It is estimated that California has a shortage of over 3.5 million homes. And what housing is available in a city may not necessarily be affordable for people who work there, which is one reason why people might live in one city and work in another, even if that means they have a long commute. What does this mean to you? If you have kids and they grow up and want to return to the area, they may have to move back home or live in a different community much farther away. If you are a business and you want to attract or relocate talent, you may have a difficult time doing so. If you are going to college, getting a technical education, or entering the workforce, you may end up paying too much for rent, which limits your ability to pay off debt, save for a house, or even make ends meet. If you are in a community that is trying to attract new jobs or employers, you may be at a significant disadvantage. If you are a senior or a person with a fixed income, rising rents and the lack of options could displace you or a loved from a place you have always called home. To address this shortage, the state requires that every city and county must help accommodate a portion of new housing growth. Because people often live and work in different places, housing needs are assessed at a regional level based on population trends and other factors to determine how much growth each local jurisdiction will need to accommodate. This is called the Regional Housing Needs Allocation, or RHNA for short. Cities are not responsible for building housing. That is the job of the private market and developers. However, cities must show that there is enough land zoned for housing to accommodate their share of new homes. Furthermore, they must place special focus on planning for affordable housing. Our city has begun preparing an update to our housing element. This effort begins by understanding current conditions, which involves looking at the housing needs of all residents, including seniors, people with disabilities, and people experiencing homelessness. We then look at our existing housing stock to determine how well our existing housing meets the needs of current and future residents. Will the city have enough homes for the new residents that are moving here? Does it have the right mix of home sizes and types, from starter homes to senior housing? Does it have homes in a variety of price ranges? Can individuals working within the city afford to live here? Once we know what already exists, we need to understand what obstacles are preventing new housing from being built. The housing element identifies obstacles such as land and development costs, government regulations, and environmental constraints like seismic hazards. It also addresses fair housing and tries to understand if there are issues related to housing discrimination. Finally, we look at the resources available for the development and preservation of housing, such as grant funding for affordable housing developers and other financial programs, and most critically, land available for new development. Because many cities in California no longer have lots of vacant land left, they've had to plan for residential growth in other ways, such as allowing mixed-use development. This update to our housing element allows us to carefully plan for the housing needs of our current and future residents. Working together, we can help make a difference in addressing our region's housing objectives and help ensure that residents have a safe and affordable place to call home.
All right. Letitia, did you have a question? Or was your hand up from before? All right, maybe the hand up was from before. So yeah, as the video summarized, the housing element is really important because when we don't create enough homes for people of all income levels, prices go up, and then many community members can't afford to live in the communities that they've lived in for generations. They're forced to move farther away and have to drive really far to get to the places that they used to go to, which increases the greenhouse gas emissions and impact on our climate, and really separates communities and makes it unaffordable to live in the places that we all love. And so the housing element is really an important way to address both the climate crisis and the housing crisis.
What is a housing element?
That is not what we want.
Cities throughout the
There we go. Okay, so in order to make communities more resilient, we need to enact much stronger policies that really center community members who are most impacted by both the climate and the housing crisis. And these are often the low income and communities of color. And as the video mentioned, the housing element process happens every 8 years. But this is probably the most exciting housing element process, if a city process could ever be exciting, I know, because it's really never happened at the same time as both the climate crisis and the housing crisis. In the last few years, we've experienced, wildfires, like poor air quality due to smoke, extreme heat. And at the same time, we've never seen as rapid increase in displacement and gentrification. And even beyond, displacement, families are just spending too much money on rent or on their mortgage in order to, survive. So by implementing the right policies, we can really make sure that this housing element can really make a huge impact on both the climate crisis and the housing crisis. And I know you've heard presentations about the housing element before, and so we're not going to spend too much more time going into the details of it, but we wanted to give a little bit of an overview for those who aren't familiar with this really, really important process. And there's the two main takeaways that can really be impacted are on the slide. We want to make sure that we're addressing both the climate crisis and then also affirmatively furthering fair housing. And so this is one of the newer requirements for this housing element cycle, to affirmatively further fair housing. And those are, a lot of words that are talked about quite often, but really, according to the official law, it means to take meaningful actions in addition to combating discrimination that overcome patterns of segregation and foster inclusive communities free from barriers that restrict access to opportunity based on protected characteristics. But even though it's a law, how a city or a county really does it and really, breaks down these barriers is, based on the county's discretion. And so we need to make sure that when we see the draft from the county of the housing element, that they really are implementing the right policies to really, end housing discrimination and really promote integration into the housing element. Not just because this is a requirement, but because this is, really the right thing to do, across the county and particularly in North Richmond. And even if it's, even though it's a requirement and the county has the right intention to do it, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen. So we really need to make sure that we are, following this process closely and really making sure that the right policies are in the policy section of the housing element. And another important element, section of the housing element that was mentioned in the video is the site inventory. So this is where the county will, put out a map and indicate where they want to zone for all of the new housing that needs to be built. And when this map comes out, it's really important for us to, to review it and, especially you as residents, to make sure that these are the places that should have housing and that these are the places that housing is likely to be built. In in previous cities that I've looked at, they've zoned a library or a police station or places that really likely will never actually have housing built as housing to sort of get out of having to really build new housing. And we want to make sure that housing, isn't built, too close to the refineries or in an area that will flood, and that the housing is, built for, that we build a lot of affordable housing and, different types of housing, both for families and for individuals to create, that, diverse, healthy community. Dulce?
Yeah, I'll go into this next piece. So a lot of this data is from the census, but it's also, it can be found in the community profiles of the Contra Costa General Plan.
Get it.
Oh.
You can yell to the top of your lungs when it's necessary, though.
Oh, I think Ebony took herself off silent by accident, maybe. So I'll continue. So again, this is the data portraying housing in North Richmond. Most of North Richmond is renter. 48% of people who live in the homes are owner occupied. So that means the owner has the title and they live in North Richmond, versus the number at the county is much higher. So there tends to be less renters across the county in different communities. The other thing too is that North Richmond's housing stock is aging. And what's really unique with North Richmond is that many of the homes here were built by the Black community members who migrated from the South due to lack of getting home loans and also redlining. The other thing is that North Richmond, due to its proximity to the Bay Area cities, other Bay Area cities like San Francisco, Marin, and so close to the interstate, it is at risk of gentrification and displacement of the current and existing residents who live here, specifically the many renters who make up North Richmond. And also, as we know, there's a huge loss of public housing, specifically over the last few years with the demolition of the Los Deltas, and a sale planned in the future. Which was really a formidable way to keep public housing in a community. And lastly, North Richmond is primarily residential. Most of North Richmond, especially south of the creek, is zoned for single family residential, single family medium residential, and everything south of Wildcat Creek tends to be an industrial use. So zoning that is heavy industrial, light industrial, And this is why, because the zoning is mostly a residential zoning, it is very important for community members to be involved with the housing element. And I'll hand it back to you, Zoe.
All right, thanks, Dulce. Yeah, and building on that, I think because so much of North Richmond housing stock is aging, we want to make sure that there are policies in the housing element that really talk about, making up, incentives to upgrade the aging homes and building, new energy efficient homes just to complement that, and then also providing, financial incentives to help, update that housing. And then also, I just wanted to talk about the 48% owner occupied number. I think versus the 70% with the county, I think if, typically homeowners tend to, feel more engaged and feel the need to really weigh in on city processes more so than renters. And I think the housing element, and in particular, the long-term renters really need to play a larger role and really make sure that their voice is heard in this process. Otherwise, in the county housing element, the louder voices are going to be the homeowners from other parts of the county. And so as part of this process, we really want to make sure that that the county hears from a wide variety of voices. And so just to provide a little bit more context about, what we're talking about, the Contra Costa County needs to zone for 7,610 new units of housing. And it's important to remember that they just have to zone for it. They don't actually have to build it. This is why it's so important to make sure that the sites that are zoned for housing in the site selection part of the housing element really are realistic, and that the policies in the policy section really work to encourage housing and to break down barriers to new housing. So I'm going to very briefly go into a few examples of policies that that you could advocate for. So one of the sort of like in each of these two policies has kind of like a goal and then a more concrete policy. So the first one is to ensure that everyone has access to climate resilient housing in a way that takes into consideration the systemic disenfranchisement of frontline communities. And so a way to do this could be to create zoning to require communities to be more resilient by establishing green buffer zones. And green buffer zones can protect from wildfires. They can increase carbon sequestration, have a really great impact on, bringing in toxic carbon from our air. But then also they can, act as buffers around refineries. I know Urban Tilth has really been advocating for this, and really, create space between community assets. And so there's a lot of, environmental policies that we have the opportunity to really bake into the housing element. So it can be a lot more than housing if we get the right policies in there. Another policy that, or a goal that might be something that people want to advocate for would be to prioritize, Black, Indigenous, and people of color families in the housing policies, and both in outreach and in practice. And I think there's been a lot of different ways that this can be done. And I'm not necessarily, talking about, the inverse of redlining or prioritizing, housing for one race versus another, but more so, creating financing incentives, really focusing on Black, Indigenous, people of color, and then also, creating communication tools and outreach and engagement to make sure that people know about these funding options and that people have access to these possibilities. And so this is one of the policies, provide financial assistance and education to lower income small property owners to add housing, like, tiny cottages that have been discussed, and rehabilitate existing units that are healthy and resource efficient. So another really great way that we can, make an impact on the climate, while also, increasing the equity and equality of our communities, is by, updating the existing housing to be more, more resilient and use resources more efficiently. So I'm not going to bore you with any more policies, but I did want to mention that, beyond the policies, it's really important for us to hold the county accountable for how the policies are worded. I think it's one thing to have, a really great list of policies in the housing element, but we need to make sure that these policies are measurable, are actionable, and implementable, so that, this housing element is going to be, in place for 8 years. And 6 years from now, we want to be able to, review the policies, and, the county needs to be able to say how they've met these goals, and what the goals are and what the plan is for, reaching them. And so if the policies aren't, are worded in a more vague way without clear deadlines or goals, it's much harder to hold the county accountable. And if I didn't bore you with all of the policies, or you are interested in learning more, Dulce and I, or Greenbelt Alliance and Richmond Land, worked on a website, this tool called the Resilience Playbook. And the Resilience Playbook is this online tool that has a whole host of policies related to housing, equity, and the environment that can be used for advocacy around, general plans, and as well as housing elements. And so I'll put a link in the chat once I'm done speaking, but it's a really great resource to browse on your own. So just to go over the timeline of what we're talking about, if you were at the MAC meeting last month, you may have heard this from Amalia. But we're waiting, pretty much any minute now, the county could be releasing the housing element. And it's been a long time in the making. We're very excited to see it. It should come out in July. The exact day, we're not sure yet, as far as I know. But once it's out, we'll have about 60 days to review it. And in that time, it's going to be really important to come together and review it together, and to review both the policies, and also to make sure that the sites are really the places where housing should be built. And so Dulce and I are also organizing a community review session that's tentatively scheduled for August 2nd, assuming that we get the draft of the housing element by then. And then after that, the county is going to submit a draft to HCD. Oh, and then before that, it's going to the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors. And then eventually the final draft, or the final version, will be out in January. And so there may be time to weigh in, in October, November, December, when they get a second draft out, but there's no guarantee. And so really the best time to review this draft housing element is going to be, in around August, when the first draft comes out. And so we really want to encourage all of you to join us in this community review session. It's going to be, really fun, and really is going to be this important way to learn more about the policies, and to really, share the policies that you think are most important, and the types of housing and where housing should be built in your community. So enough about the policies themselves, or continuing on talking about the policies themselves. I'm going to turn it over to Dulce.
Yes. And so this is the part where, we're very interested in hearing from you, and just having a quick conversation around what policies and actions do you think we as a community should prioritize in the housing element? As Zoe said, there is a review period. The county will make the public housing element document available sometime soon. We don't have that date yet, in order for us to give input and comments. And these policies are really critical because they're cemented for the next 8 years around what we want to see in our community growth. We normally think of development happening to us, but the housing element is one of the elements that is very critical to how we want to see our communities develop. So I ask you, what policies and actions do you think we as a community should prioritize in the housing element?
And I'm going to stop sharing. I put the question in the chat in case you want to come back to it. But yeah, we really want to open this up to all of you to share what you think, if any of the policies that I mentioned you liked, or if there's other things that you want to prioritize. I see Princess wants to prioritize homeowners incentives and the down payment assistance for frontline communities. I think that's a great one.
Well, I'm Pamela Salter, Men and Women of Valor. Can you hear me?
Pam, excuse me. So are you opening up for questions, or what are we doing at this point? Are you all done with the presentation?
Yeah, we're done with the presentation part, and we wanted to just have a short conversation with everyone.
Okay,
so yeah,
the time constraints right now. Okay, so let's hear from Pam, and then I have a few questions also. Okay, Pam.
Okay.
The directives is Zoe are to do say. Okay.
Am I still on?
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to do contracts with nonprofits out in North Richmond like it was stated in the begin? That's one question. Where we'd be able to purchase the property, and then the ones that lived in the homes prior would be able to relocate back into North Richmond and live in the properties?
Well, let me, if Josie or Zoe, they're talking, their presentation is their incoming of looking at the different elements that they're presenting as policies. But as for what I understand, Pam, what you're speaking of is the previous conversations that we had with the county about the scatter sites and the campus. That's totally different than they do not have any say so who, to actually purchase what. They're just bringing in their elements of sharing with the community of what they're doing.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Zoe or Duce? You have anything to say about that?
Yeah. Oh, Duce.
Yeah, thanks for that clarity, Annie. Yes, so this is a county-led process, and we want to augment, the tools and information that you all have. So, I will say that for example, Pamela, the right to return policies that you suggested are important to include in the housing element. I think, there are 1,010,000 policies that can be included. I think it's also a matter of seeing what the county is proposing in terms of goals and policies. That's why I think right now it is very ambiguous to say, well, what do we want? But these are really good ideas, Pamela. And thanks for that clarity, Annie. And Zoe, you were going to add something else.
I was just going to say that, at this point, anything is possible because we haven't seen the draft yet and it's not finalized. And so it's a really, it will be really great for you to, review the draft with us when it comes out and to make sure that that is the kind of thing that we are prioritizing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pam. Are there any other questions before I'd like to chime in? I have a couple of things that I'd just like to share at this point.
Ms. Annie, I've had my hand up for a moment.
Oh, go ahead, Cynthia. I'm sorry. I can't see. I got
so, what I need to know is that this plan is called Housing Element, okay? So last month, Ms. Cunningham from the county presented a Contra Costa County Housing Element Plan. And then Will Nelson was supposed to present on the general plan. So now this plan you're speaking of today, Housing Element, would that be presented along or to the county with the general plan? Is it's like your organization come up with this presentation today, and I'm not seeing any community input or any community residents suggestions or anything. Is this something you're just going to directly just give to the county and say, put this in with your housing element plan? What's going on here? Because it seemed like a repeat of what they're doing and what you guys are doing.
Yes, good question, Cynthia. And that's the total opposite of what we're trying to do. So this is a presentation to say, this is the process that the county has. This presentation is to give us ideas around what are the policies that we can include in the housing element. The county still needs to make the housing element available for public review. The county has not made that available for public review. And when they do that, our goal is in the August MAC meeting to come to you all and say, here are all the goals and policies that the county has proposed. Does this fit with our community needs? Or do we need to think of new policies, goals, and activities in order so that it reflects the things that we need the most? And that's why today it's, let's just have a conversation, because right now we don't have an actual document that the county has proposed that we can go off of. That'll most likely happen next month. I hope that clarified your question or your concern, Cynthia.
Somewhat, but I seem like I see like duplication. But we'll let that go.
No, I'll chime in. I see someone else hand, Carol Johnson. Hand is up. Thank you, Cynthia.
Yeah. Oh, I just had to unmute myself. So this is a good start, but I have some concerns that I see happening in the city of Richmond, which also could be happening in North Richmond, which is that I have a couple of. So then, aren't there a lot of abandoned houses in North Richmond?
Used to be.
That can be used for.
But it's not. You want to answer your question, Carol? Not as much, and that's one of the things I want to allude to. But I want to hear all the questions to be presented to.
I'm gonna ask a question.
Oh, okay. So one question I did have.
Chime in.
I'm sorry. One question I had is that hopefully in trying to prevent discrimination, there are certain groups that buy up the houses, and then they, when they advertise that the houses are for sale or for rent, they have it only in their language so that no one else can read. So that's a big, huge problem that I've been hearing a lot of complaints about as far as discriminating against other people that don't speak that language.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right, that's part of the county. That's the entry to the county. That's their problem. When they do that, they look at the money, they buy, they have buyers come in, they collectively go around, they offer monies to these individuals that have the properties and actually collect them. This is what they do. But just for the sake of time, I do have a couple of things that I do want to actually put out there. And one is, as far as Cynthia mentioned about duplications of services that may be part of the policies that are in place, that are already in place, but not as privy to what you all are doing at this place. As looking at for existence, now I'm stepping from one into the other, as looking at the CHDC, and I would love to have one of our real estate individuals department to come in and to have this conversation with you all, because we have backing from the from Congress through Neighborhood Works that keeps us very informed with different policies and for fair housing and for communities of color. That's one of the things that we have stood on for the last 20 years, okay? And that's throughout North Richmond and our other service areas through CHDC. The other thing is for our strategic plan that has been in place, and as you say, every 8 years, our strategic plan is at the end for right now of what we are developing and what we are now looking at to further develop in the future. One of the things that I can suggest for the work that you all doing, and it's great to have these policies open up to the community and to the residents to understand what is in place and what they have that's in their corner to fight for housing. But CHDC, Community Housing Development, has really stood on that as to look for creating sustainable housing, for communities, the people that lives in our area, and as Cynthia said, to want to come back. This is the education piece that CHDC have in place for individuals to understand wealth of actually owning their own home, for home ownership, and how to get there. A lot of this that you all have presented is more or less a conversation that needs to be put in place with a conversation with what has already been in place for the last 30 years and has worked toward the future of sustainability for residents here in North Richmond and out of North Richmond for affordable housing. What you have presented is very good. I think that it should be shared. I think this conversation should be with CHDC, and to bring in what we have already in place and to see if we can compromise on a lot of things that we have gone through the county and have had approved. Again, it is privy to the departments that are in place. So they wouldn't know all of this information, but it's good that you would like to share this information. So with that, I'm not going to keep going on, and I see that probably others do want to chime in, but I did want to just to clarify that we have somewhat of a duplication what is happening, but all means what you have in place was well, is well presented and it's well opening to be shared with the residents. Okay. So do say, I see your hand is up again. I don't know about Zoe. I can't see her, but I'm not going to keep going on because we are on a time limit and we're not going to be until 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Okay.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Annie, for that. I will wrap up the comments really quickly. And yes, this is a informational presentation, mostly designed to be a conversation about amongst all of us, and to really open the doors to say what kinds of policies do we want to see when they give us the draft review in August. I just wanted to answer the housing element is a part of the general plan. So the general plan is the big enchilada that holds all of the policies from the transportation to everything. And so the housing element is one chapter within the general plan. In terms of the duplication, this is meant to be multiple conversations that are had in the community. It isn't just one organization that should have this conversation or two organizations. It should be all of the organizations plus all of the community members. The general plan and the housing element specifically asks for community input. And traditionally, the housing element isn't presented to people. It isn't presented to us as community members. So we are saying, hey, everyone, let's learn about the housing element and let's get ready to design the policies that we need for this upcoming 6-cycle housing element. And Zoe, I'll kick it to you to see if there's any last words. And then Annie, I know we're short on time, so we can close.
Okay, thank you, Dulce. Zoe?
Yeah, I don't need to add anything else other than thank you so much. And I hope that you can all join us at our review session and really make sure that all of these great ideas and policies that you have talked about really are implemented in the housing element. So thank you.
Okay. Well, very good. It's very informative. We all enjoyed that and enjoyed the comments. And we're looking forward to hear more from you all. Okay. All right. Now, my dear Tanya, could you please put the agenda back? I've lost my agenda so I can see what's next. And thank you, ladies. Okay, so with that, thank you, Tanya. Okay, so we're on item 7 now. And this is our report out for our City of Richmond Community Service Department. Whom is that? I'm not sure, Tanya.
I don't see Stephanie here. She's usually the one who reports, or Jessica, and I don't see either one.
Okay.
I'm actually here.
Oh, sorry, Jessica.
And who is that? And who is that speaking?
Jessica.
I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, okay, Jessica. Yes, we can see you also. Okay, very
okay. Okay. I'm in a different environment. So Yeah, I don't really have anything too much to say. I'm with the North Richmond Mobile Tool Library, and we had a small event. We tabled on the 4th of July, and we are going to bring our trailer to the music event, which is happening, I think, on the July 16th. We'll come out and table at that event. But right now we're just, we're in the process of getting the MOU done with the Baptist Church so that we can set up there every other weekend in North Richmond. So that's kind of where we are. Let me know if anybody has any questions about the mobile tool library. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Jessica. Okay, next Shields Reed Neighborhood Council. Do we have Marina here?
No.
Okay. So let's move on. Do we have anyone from Country Coastal Housing Authority?
Hi, Miss Annie. This is Tony Yusufari, and I think this is going to be the first of a regular report out on at the MAC about what's going on in terms of the main campus, the scattered site disposition. So since last month, there hasn't really been too much that's changed. We did have our choral fellow start, and her name is Hannah Phelan. I mentioned that last month. She is away from she's out of town tonight. Otherwise, I would have introduced her, but she will be likely at the next MAC meeting. She's been reading up on all of the process to date about all the meetings we had with the community out in North Richmond, coming up with the quality of life plan. She's been looking at the draft MOUs. We're working out a scoring configuration. You know, all of this is kind of gearing up to start the process rolling. And you know, I wish I could give you a good timeline. I really don't have one, but I'm hoping with sometime in the next month or two, we will be able to at least start talking about dates of when we're going to put everything in place. Okay. And, you know, like I said in the past, if you're thinking of participating in this process, either as a nonprofit organization who wants to buy some of the scattered sites to renovate them and then turn them around for sale or purchase to the families that live in North Richmond, or you know, just to be part of a process to buy the units in the private market. Now's the time to be thinking about who you need to partner with, yes, who you need to talk to about possibly down payment assistance. You know, remember all of these units, for those that are going to buy these units, you know, they're in really bad condition. So you're looking at, you know, roughly about $150,000 yes, per unit of improvements that have to be made before you can actually live in these units. So, you know, keep that in mind as you're getting ready for this. So you need to, you know, start working with either lenders or, you know, organizations like CHDC or Richmond Neighborhood Housing Services, yes, to kind of identify potential funding sources to assist you with that. Unfortunately, we won't have any money to help with that, but it's definitely never too early to start getting your ducks in order. And then when we get to the private market sales, you know, that's just going to be, you know, whatever the market drives. And there will be a preference for people that are from North Richmond. There will also be a preference for people that are not homeowners yet. Yes. So in other words, you know, if you're looking to just, you know, you own a home, but you're looking to buy some additional investment property, that's, you know, you can do that, but you're not going to be at the top of the list of people that are going to be considered. We really want to make this an opportunity for people that don't own a home and are looking to get into the housing market. This is a great opportunity for that to happen. And, you know, the other side of that coin is you got to be ready to do something with that, because, you know, buying it and then letting it sit empty for the
It's not
next
happening.
5-10 years is not a good thing. And it's not something any of us want to see happen. It only exacerbates and perpetuates the problems that are already there. You know, you got a lot of vacant units, you got a lot of boarded up units. Nobody wants to see more of that. We're actually trying to solve that problem, not make it worse. So, you know, in the coming months, we'll have more information for you. And there'll probably be another community meeting or two before we launch. And at that point, you know, once the nonprofits that actually buy some of those below market units that we were talking about that are going to make them available, they're going to be having community meetings to see what the community is interested in, what they're looking for in the way of designs for the units that they're going to be developing, so that they're actually building something that you actually are interested in, rather than building something that, you know, you have no interest in, and that doesn't really help anybody. So that's all I have for today.
Okay, well, thank you, Tony. And if I may, also, one of the things that you was very thorough of going, you know, of reiterating what you had mentioned over the past meetings. But one of the things also, individuals have to understand that they do have to get permits. Permits are, you know, the permit process has to go through the county for certain things that needs to be done on those properties. So that's an additional fee also. So it's not just buying the properties, but you do have permits that has to be in place and other general things that needs to be done. So I just wanted to throw that in also. So you can't forget about those permits. You know, you can't get, you know, because you can get dinged on that too and lose everything you put into place if you don't follow the right procedure of doing what you need to do.
And if I can clarify just a little point, you know, when I was listening to all these conversations going on about the housing element and general plan and the county, and one of the questions that came up was about, you know, the units being made available. So I just want to clarify, you know, when you're talking about the the county, that's really the county of Contra Costa and all their development offices and you know, all their housing programs. Even though the county of Contra Costa is in our name, we're actually a whole separate entity. The housing authority really doesn't come under the umbrella of the county of Contra Costa. So just keep that in mind when you're talking about it. So when you hear people talking about the county, it's not specifically the housing authority. I mean, they may be talking about the housing authority, but calling us the county is not.
Whole different entity. Yeah.
I'm not even listening when you're calling us the county. You know, when you start talking about the housing authority, now I know that it's about us.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Okay, Annie, Cynthia has her hand up.
Someone had their hand up?
Paying attention. Cynthia has a little hand up in the box, but I would like to ask Tony, Tony, what about buying one of the scattered sites and demolishing the site? Is that coming to question? Like
I'm sorry, say
demolition
that
of the
again.
site? Instead of trying to redo the site, if you get a scattered site, instead of trying to remodel it and reconstruct it, what about demolition of the site?
Once you have a site, you can do whatever you want to it. The only thing you should be aware of is if you buy it below market rate. So in other words, an appraisal is done and they figure out the place is worth $1 million or $5, whatever it is, whatever that appraisal shows, I have to show that to HUD and say, hey, this person bought it at market rate. So there's no restrictive covenant put on that property. But if the appraisal comes in at, you know, say $400,000 and you buy it at $300,000, well, being below market, you're going to have a restrictive covenant on there. And so it restricts what you can do for it with the property in the long run. But if you want to tear it down and build a new house on it, great. If you want to, you know, fix it up and rent out half and live in the other half, that's fine too. It all comes down to, you know, what the local zoning ordinances allow.
And what the
So in other words, you can only build so high and so wide and all that. You have to abide by those things, but you know, there's nothing that says you have to keep that structure on there. If you want to spend the money to tear it down and start over,
new one,
more power to you.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's anyone else have any more questions for Tony, please put them in the chat for him. I just want to keep things moving, if that's okay with everybody. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, Tony, so very much. Okay, next, let's look at Tanya. Do you have anything from Supervisor Joya's office to share?
Yes, I moved a little closer just to make sure you can hear me. I want to thank everyone who participated in the 4th of July parade. It was really fun and heartwarming to see all the residents come out and wave at us. Also, as Cynthia mentioned, please join the North Richmond Music Festival, July 16th. And another great event that's happening as well is Hood Day, and that's happening August 6th at Shields Reed Park from 1 to 6 p.m. I think I saw Ebony on the meeting, and she's one of the coordinators for that event, and I just want to promote it and kind of ask everyone to support this event. Also, I've been talking with Stephanie from the city of Richmond, and the Tool Lending Library is interested in doing a cleanup. So if any of you who are on the call, or if you know someone in North Richmond that wants to do a cleanup, please get in contact with me so we can start coordinating a location and start having those conversations. And then I also wanted to just let Annie know that I have been talking to CHCC, specifically Jacob, who's new to CHCC, about the housing element and other housing policies in North Richmond. So, you know, we're definitely keeping CHCC in the loop, and I look forward to working with Jacob on some of these policy recommendations that CHCC will hopefully put forward. And yeah, those are my updates.
Okay, and
Tanya, question.
Tanya, I do have one thing that to keep it, to keep it on the calendars for everyone. From my past conversation of last month, speaking of Dr. Clark's memorial, that to save the date for September the 17th for his memorial. And I have talked to Supervisor Joya, I have talked to Chevron, I have talked to several other entities. It's just a matter of location. We do have a location, but I want to really narrow it down, and I probably will have that by next month to really say where the location is. But for the backing of having it done, we do have the Office of Supervisor Joya and Chevron and other entities. Okay, so that's September the 17th.
Okay, I have a question for Tanya. Tanya mentioned an event on August the 6th, but she did not give us the name of the event.
Okay, sorry.
It's called Hood Day.
Okay, thank you.
And it's from 1 to 6, August 6th at Shields Reed Park. And Anthony is one of the coordinators.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia and Tanya. Okay, community housing development, and as Don isn't here, but what we're gonna do, I'm gonna
I'm here.
Okay, all right, Janie. So what I'm gonna do, what part are you speaking on? Because as Don has mentioned, he would like for
Excuse me, I'm going to a meeting, but I want to say my office, the Men and Women of Valor location is
you gotta
open
mute
too.
Pam. You gotta mute Pam. You have to mute. Thank you, Pam.
Okay, but y'all welcome to come there for anything.
Oh, were you making an announcement? Okay, I missed it. Okay, so Janie.
Yes.
Oh, so Janine, is Janine there to report out?
Janine is gonna report out on mitigation. I'm gonna report out.
Okay, so Janine is first, Janie, and then yours is the mitigation coordinator piece. Is Victor there?
Okay, Annie?
I can hear you.
Okay, Annie, I'm reporting out for CHDC. You need to report out for mitigation, okay? So, I want to announce, and then some of you may have received the new.
Okay, I'm confused. I'm sorry, Janie. Okay, I'm confused. I'm just saying the way we did it before. Okay, are you doing the mitigation or is Victor doing the mitigation?
Unfortunately, Victor is not here today,
Explain it to me. Okay, I just.
Madam Chair. So Ms. Jamie will be reporting for CHDC and then I will cover the mitigation part.
Okay, because Cynthia got to get it right when she write this up. Okay, Janie, go for it.
Okay, I'm following the agenda. So I'm reporting out for CHDC. Don is not here. So what I would like to announce and give a shout out to Tony, the Hacienda Heights, which is a newly renovated senior affordable housing, is accepting applications. The deadline for the applications have been extended. Can you put that up? We've extended the deadline thanks to Tony. The deadline now is July 21st. We are encouraging people to please apply for this newly renovated senior affordable housing project. It's located at 1300 Roosevelt. People may know the old hacienda. It is beautiful. It is wonderful. It is a senior housing project. So I'm saying this because we want to impress upon people that we have a lot of people who have come by and said, oh, there you go. That's it right there. And we just got the new flyers out today showing the extension date on this. And we have some people who are not sure they want to apply. We want to encourage people, if they're interested, apply. Because there is a process that you have to go through. You will have to apply online. And if you have problems with trying to apply, you can come here at the Senior Center at 515 Silver. You can go to our Resource Center, which is right across the street from CHDC. You can go to the Nevins Plaza, which is the Housing Authority, down there. So we have several places you can go if you have problems with completing the application. But please get the word out, because we probably will not get another extension date on this. So we have a lot of applications, but always get yours in, because they have to go through a screening process. And it's very important that the seniors are aware of this project. And if they're interested in moving there, please get your application in so you'll be in the number. Because if you don't get your application in, there's no way that you're going to be able to get in. So you have to put your application in so that you can go through the process. Thank you. Any questions?
Janie, could you put that back up one more time? I'm taking a picture of that, Tanya, if you could, because I want to send that out to several individuals. And why I'm doing this, I had several people that say that they had a problem trying to, it was very, it wasn't very it wasn't very welcoming how it was being done, especially for the seniors. And several people had mentioned they didn't have a computer, and they were saying, well, more or less that's that's your luck, find a place in order to do it. But anyway, we're not going to go all into that, but I've taken this. Thank you for that information, and I will be sending it out to several other seniors.
And
thank you, Janie, for your report.
I just sent the flyer to Tanya today, and Tanya just told me that she will be sending it out to everybody. And I will send her out, and I will give her a list of places so they can go. And if they need,
so they'll be more friendly with the seniors, yeah, because they've attitude. Some
their applications, then there will be someone there who could assist them with completing the application.
Tony shared it in the chat.
Okay.
And you can call any of our staff too. They can actually walk you through the application.
Okay, yeah, they were very hostile with them and it was like, but anyway, that's okay. Thank you, Tony, for chiming in, and thank you, Janie, for that report. Now, are you done, Janie, or you have some more before we get to Janine to the mitigation?
I just wanted to highlight that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Janine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just to let you know, I have taken the training with Tony. So seniors can come to the new Corrine Sane Center, Senior and Family Community Center, if they don't have access to a computer, and I can walk them through the process.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
And keeping in mind, I wanted to do a special thanks to all who supported and attended the renaming ceremony for Corrine Sane. It was beautiful. Thank you to the family, the friends, the volunteers who helped set up, local community groups, business affiliates, and they gave up their time and it was wonderful. Miss Corrine was actually here today having lunch. So she is going to try to come to the center at least twice a week. So you guys, please come down. Our lunches are delicious. We serve them 11:30 to 12:30. So please come and attend. Another thing is that we do have a new computer lab and we're going on the 3rd week. We have one of our seniors, Mother Moore, who's actually 101. And she is learning how to play solitaire on the computer. So, and a lot of the seniors would like to learn how to type. So this is really good. So if you want to come and volunteer to help the seniors learn how to use the computers, we are open. We do have an instructor that comes in, and then we also have some of our volunteers that are here daily, like Stephanie, help the seniors. So it's really fun. And then, so our pantry is up and running. I mean, the food that we're getting from the food bank, we had fresh pineapples. I still have some in the fridge. We've had salmon, tri-tip, chicken, vegetables, you name it. And our average per week, we're averaging around 24 to 30 residents coming in. So please come on over. It is open Tuesday through Friday from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Please come and visit. And that will be all, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the wonderful. Oh, you have something else? Oh, go ahead.
I forgot. I'm sorry. I got so excited when I was talking about Miss Corrine, I forgot. Just a real quick, summer is here and people are doing their cleaning. So the Richmond Sanitary Services has been really busy. On average daily, we're getting about 16 hotspot reports that come in. And then we are still patrolling our area, but for the most part, North Richmond is looking pretty good.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your report, Janine, and thank you, Janie, for your report of CHD and the mitigation. Okay, so next on our agenda, Tanya, please.
Richmond Land.
Okay, so Richmond Land, who will be reporting out?
I
Wait,
will go ahead.
Janine have to report for Victor.
She just did.
She didn't say, oh, okay.
She
Excuse me.
did, yeah. Did you get it? Do you want her to put something in the chat for you, Cynthia? I can't hear you. You're on mute. You're on mute, Cynthia.
Okay, that part would be Richmond Sanitary has been cleaning up North Richmond.
Yes,
That's
okay, thank you. Okay, Richmond Land, who was coming up to report out from the extensive informational that we had earlier?
Yes, that would be me. So just wanted to quickly share that on the week of July 25th, we are going to have our monthly membership meeting. So we are a membership-led organization. We hold monthly member meetings where we do just also trainings, conversations, community building. July 27th will be one of our first in-person membership meetings. We will also host a documentary where we hope to have conversations with community members, and that information is forthcoming, so I can share it so that anyone interested in learning about the land trust model, what the community land trust does, can join us during that week. And they'll happen the week of July 25th. And those are all of my updates.
What is the location, do say? The location?
Yes, it right now it will be at Building Blocks for Kids Richmond Collaborative. So that's on 9th Street, I believe it's 319 9th Street. So it's in proper city of Richmond. But again, I'll share the address, the location, the dates, the time, all of that once we have that complete. Just know that it will be the week of July 25th.
Okay, the Iron Triangle. Okay, very good. Corporation Richmond.
Hello, I can give an
Francis?
update. Yes, I'm here. Thank
Okay.
you. Cooperation Richmond, really quick update. I have two. Is one, first and foremost, there is a family day at the Richmond Arts Center, July 16th from 12 to 2. It's open to everybody. It's free. This is a chance for you to get oriented back with the Richmond Arts Center. They're back open. Also, it's my son's 9th birthday, so I'll be there with a birthday cake too if y'all wanted to come by and wish him a happy birthday. Also, July 28th is our next Co-op Cafe. It's virtual. It's free online webinar, and it's usually posted in our newsletter so that you can sign up for it, register for it. But basically this month we'll be talking about cooperative housing. Cooperative housing is basically residents who come together to buy out from their landlords and manage and live in and organize in their own units, right? And so, yeah, learn more about the co-op housing model this month at our free webinar, and I'll make sure to get this information to Tanya. And thank you guys so much for allowing me to give that update. Also, our organization is open to the public. Our office, we have computers, free printing, meeting spaces. So all you would have to do is reach out to info@cooperationrichmond.org to schedule any time in our office, as well as we have projects that we have been working with. So we're working with a startup business, a group of women from Richmond who is developing an event coordinating and equipment, party rental equipment business. So that'll be launching soon. And then we're also working with CHDC to hopefully apply for their RFP that's coming out to incubate a small North Richmond grocery store for residents in our community. So that is our update, and thank you so much for letting me give that.
Okay. Now, Princess, for your location to come in, if someone from the community needs to do copying or using the computer, do you have a location?
Yes, we do, and I'm sorry that I didn't give that. Our location is at 402 Harbor Way, Richmond, California, 94804, and it's literally right across the street from Kaiser on Harbor Way. Our office is right there. You'll see the sign.
Very good. Thank you so very much. Okay. So next, Urban Tilt. Do we have anyone from Urban Tilt here? We have the project manager, or do we have anyone to report out?
I don't see anyone from Urban Tilt.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Tanya.
Okay, Annie.
Yes, dear.
Before you close out, Carol Johnson asked in the chat, is there a website or somewhere where all of these events and all these announcements are posted in one place? So I just want to suggest to her that Latifah has a North Richmond newspaper and she has that website, which is very informative.
Okay.
What
And
is the
plus
website?
The North
I'm
Richmond
sorry.
Green Letter.
Right, so she did, okay, so Carol, that was your question. So Latifah, I think she put it in the chat. Did she put it in the chat? Yes, she did. It's in the chat right now. So if you look,
Okay,
if you look at the chat, you will see Latifah's information.
thank,
Okay. All right, so by hearing that, hearing this, was very, I think a very good meeting this evening rather. And I'd like to thank everyone for their participation this evening. And with that, I will be adjourning the meeting, and everyone have a very good evening, and we'll see you next month. Thank you.
thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night.
I thought those